In this episode of Threading Thoughts, we talk about career guidance, career advancement, and pivot. How do you get your dream career or job? How can we change our decisions or choices in order to chase our dream? Whether it's a black swan event or looking for a change at your current job, crafting a dream career or finding a great job is a skill that most professionals are not comfortable with. A waste of efforts leads to desperation, and most stick to their current jobs or grab whatever comes their way. However, a career can demand a personal brand, power networking, and a lot of preparation. Oftentimes, one has to take a step back to realize and reorient their career paths, and above all, overcome their fear to break the glass ceiling. Renu is a seasoned OD and leadership trainer coach with a rich experience of over 30 years in corporate education, human performance, employee engagement, and communication in HR. She has exposure in the areas of education management, coaching and leadership development through competencies and employee engagement, and development of learning and communication content. Being an instructional design specialist, she has immense experience in program design or specialized global high potential and leadership development programs and functional programs. Her other areas of expertise are creation of competency and value models and events and communication management for building organization culture and employee engagement. She has also strategized and implemented programs for global culture development, values dissemination, and employee engagement in global organizations. She has had immense exposure in implementing human performance improvement initiatives after being certified on the HPI model of ASTD. She has also been involved in designing curricula for different domains such as global online education degree courses, soft skills, HR, global operations, finance, telecom, and many more. She is a Six Sigma Green Belt certified professional and has implemented a number of training and facilitation projects to measure outcomes using Six Sigma. Thank you, Renu, for joining us for this episode of Threading Thoughts. I'm so glad to be talking to you today.
So am I, Mridula. Probably gladder than you are.
That's so sweet of you. It's really nice that you took time off and joined me today. And what are the top qualities to make one more promotable and why?
Okay, so this is interesting. You see, I would like to restrict my response to a certain segment of people because you find people at the beginning of their career, somewhere towards when they're in the middle, and somewhere when they're hitting the top. The qualities that make people promotable are different actually in each one of those, and I'd prefer to restrict my response to typically the mid segment and the top segment because at lower levels, it's relatively easier for people to move ahead, and therefore, and a lot of qualities can get them forward. But if I really look at people who are in the mid segment or they are in the senior management level, I brief the entire thing up to about roughly 7 points. I'll talk through some of those, but the first and the biggest one that makes or gets people promoted are those people who manage in their lives to make single focus strategic goals for themselves. Even though, in all corporates, you will find a lot of people who got a huge performance sheet where they will have a lot of KPAs and a lot of KPIs, performance areas and indicators, etc., etc. But we all know, Mridula, that invariably a person who gets rewards, a person who's doing exceedingly well, that one excellent piece that they may have done anywhere. People who've excelled in one specific area, people who excelled in maybe out of a set of 6 KPIs, they've excelled in like 3 of them, and they've done a stupendous job. So those are the people who manage to grow and move forward, and that's where most of the mid-level management or managers or leaders fumble, because they are forever trying to work on all 7 or 8 or 9 areas or objective goals. People who succeed will pull out the 2 or 3 top relevant ones, the most critical ones that get the highest level of value to themselves and the company and their team, and then manage to get through. That's how it really works. So I would say the first point is really make one single strategic benefiting goal, and that works wonders. The second thing that is very crucial, and this is very apt for people who are again very senior. It is crucial to have teams under you who are excelling in their work. So take your time, build those teams up, but
Right.
figure out a way to ensure that either you have groomed your population up to a certain level where they are excelling in their work. You don't want scattered teams, because beyond a certain level, when you groom them up to a certain level, then you want to be able to follow your own agenda, fix a goal, and ensure your entire gang is working towards that. Many people will have loads of team members under them, and they're forever trying to groom them left, right, and center all the time. They will have, because they're not good at team building, they will have a lot of team members quitting left, right, and center, and therefore forever in their lives they are always managing to hire new people, train them, groom them, coach them, bring them to a certain level, then they again quit. So it's very important to learn that art of having people who are excellent. By the way, I must add to this that they must also not be scared of hiring good people. A lot of heads manage to get intimidated by people who have probably better skills or better knowledge levels, or who've been better performers than themselves. And therefore, they are scared to touch them. They won't even touch them as a barcode.
True,
So
true.
it's very important to ensure that people or leaders don't get scared of hiring good people. If you find somebody who's exceedingly well, who's done exceedingly well, just don't think for a minute, just hire the person. In the process, you will learn to manage them. So
True.
that's the third quality, and every excellent performer does that. People, leaders, managers need to be self-aware. They're scared to understand their own limitations, and therefore they're scared to even take feedback from people. Therefore, they don't even make mistakes. Now, people who don't make mistakes are typically those who will keep doing the same thing repeatedly, because the moment you start doing something new, you are bound to make mistakes. Now, if you don't make mistakes, then you're actually you're actually fumbling somewhere, because you'll never try anything new. The moment you don't try anything new, you're gone. Your career is completely finished, because the market scenarios, the environment, the organization goals, everything keeps changing. So if you
True.
don't change, don't try new things, you will never make mistakes. And people who are scared of making mistakes, they're forever, if I make a mistake, what will happen to my goal sheet? What will happen to my performance review, etc. They will never change. And those are the people who, beyond the mid-level, kind of come crash landing. They can never grow beyond the mid-level position.
It's
So
almost
that's
like a comfort zone, right, Renu? So,
yeah, absolutely. There's a very three-liner bit on this, and I'll say that both in Hindi and English. It says, "Bhool karna prakriti hai." So it is natural to make mistakes. मान लेना, उस भूल को मान के गलती मान लेना, वो संस्कृति है. It is in your culture. It's in our culture. We are trained and taught to accept that, and the moment you accept it, you will obviously make corrections. And सुधार लेना प्रगति है. So if you are able to recognize और उसको आप correct भी कर दो, then you are progressing. You are on that path of progression. Otherwise,
right.
your career is doomed. So that's how, in a nutshell, I would just summarize this. The last few points are one, that whenever any mid-level or senior manager wants to grow, I am very, very convinced, and that's the way when I coach people also, when I train people, I work with them extensively in this area, that if you are not a brand by your own self, if you do not have a single quality that people can identify with you with, then you are on very choppy waters. If whether you are going ahead and you are having a chat with a new organization, or you are having a chat with your own leadership and you are looking at promotion and growth, etc. If you don't have anything solid to take forward with you as a proposal, saying, "Here is what I can do for you," they take you very lightly. They will tend to reject you. You don't stand for something. If you don't stand for something, I've known of many number of people when they go in for senior level interviews, and if they are asked, either interviews or even for promotions, when they are asked, why should you be promoted? What do you think you can do? So the kind of responses, some of them are very, very lame and weak, because they would come back and say, I want exposure in ABC area. I want to learn that also, etc., etc. Now, Come on, I mean, you need a promotion. Why would a company give you a promotion? Because you want to learn something. And it's very difficult for a lot of people to understand that when they want a promotion, they have to speak the language of contribution. Say that at that position, here is what I will or I can do for you, and therefore I need to jump to that position. Now people forget that. They're forever talking about, their own hunger. I want to learn, I want to do this, I want to do this. And
Right.
that's when they dig. That's very, very crucial, and therefore around what they can contribute, how they can bring value, it's very important to create your own brand image around some of those things. And the last couple of points are this, that I think people forget to network. And I'm not saying network just outside, I'm saying network within your own organization. So if you're talking about outside, we are not networking with our own fraternity, with our own level people, with higher level people, with our own function people, and so on. And people in your own organization, they are not able to network with their own leadership. So
Exactly.
if you can't walk into somebody's office, a senior guy, and you can't talk to them. Forget promotion. I mean, you're not comfortable around them. So this is one huge big quality that people really suffer with. And let me tell you that the Muse and some of those places, HBR and places, they come up with some metrics. They saying that people who are aspiring for growth, almost 50 to 60% of the people are suffering because of this. So it's very important for people to understand that they need to be able to have their own network with the leadership, get some level of comfort with them.
Right.
That's crucial. And the last but not the least is this: people feel that if they have to grow, this is very interesting. If they have to grow, become indispensable. And
Ah,
if
right.
anybody tells me that, I will put a huge big red cross mark on it. Because the moment you say you have become indispensable, people will never let you grow. They feel you're doing so well in your current role. So it's important. I mean, I do remember, one of the organizations that I was working with, I was positioned abroad somewhere in one of the companies, and I was doing some consulting for a company. It was a university, and the dean of the university was getting some work done from us, and I was the India project manager who was there looking at all the work. And I was stationed at that place, working from the client's office. And I remember that the client got so comfortable with my work that he said, if your organization is sending work to us, I don't need to review and approve. If you approve it for me, I'm done. I don't even want to see the work. I have that much trust on you.
Right.
It was a very happy state. I was very happy, very thrilled. But then guess what happened? I was very happy with the thought that I'm indispensable.
Ah,
And this gentleman, my customer, doesn't want anybody else. He didn't want any other project manager. He said, I just want her. And guess what? There were ample number of opportunities that cropped up. And I do remember my own bosses said, no, do not even touch her because she's doing that entire project so well that I
right.
cannot even risk pulling her out of that position. So I lost out two very huge opportunities of growth just because I was feeling very happy about the fact that I'm in distance. And that's something that I would recommend to everybody. With hindsight, I can say never become indispensable. So this is basically a VAB model, the core pillars of how I encourage people to grow, and that's what I typically focus on for anybody. The one on the left, which talks about a coveted premium contribution or strategic vision. This is that one goal that I talked about. Have one contributory single focus goal. And there are people who come with, very scattered thoughts. I sit down, I have a huge, interesting visioning exercise with them. And I reduce it to one or two focused goals that they want to work in. And at this stage, also manage upwards by bringing in their bosses and bosses into the picture to see how they can make their bosses also succeed by doing whatever they have to. I think the moment they get that piece, even if there is a person who is not able to get along with the bosses, if the boss understands that this person is going to help me achieve my goals, the boss is going to come back and help you.
Correct. Correct.
Loads and loads of people make that mistake. So that's one area that I work with. The second area is on the right hand side, which is this unleashed board advocate. So basically, I say that whenever you want to grow, it is important that you don't keep talking about your own self left, right, and center in front of the entire world. Otherwise, you sound like you're bragging. But
Correct.
it's it's very important. You cannot let your work speak for yourself only. So it is very important to work and create a board or a council of people who can talk about you. So this is an area. This is actually an art that not many people are comfortable with. But yes, that's what I work with. The bottom one says create a conspicuous personal brand. I talked about the personal brand. What do you stand for? What do you want to do? How can you contribute to the company? So
Correct.
create a very conspicuous one. And then once you've created all of that and you started working on that, then in the middle I've got something called that says toot your horn. Ensure that the world gets to know what you're doing. Mid-level, upper level, senior management, leadership, if they don't talk about what they can do, what they have done, etc., the world is never going to let you grow. The vertical axis talks about being self-aware, being accepting, and being active. Now, this talks about knowing myself, my gaps. Accepting means taking feedback from people and then becoming active to ensure that I correct those issues or develop those areas within me, whatever are the gaps.
Right.
And the one on the x-axis, on the horizontal one, I'm talking about core critical. So I'm talking about that one focused goal that you have. You've created that vision, the contributory goal. You've communicated that in terms of how you can contribute to that world. So if I show this on a x and y axis, then people fall under different areas. If you see the one in blue, ignorant silent survivor, so this person would be low on self-awareness and would not have a single goal. And those people are typically ignorant of what their gaps are. They'll be very silent people, they won't be talking about themselves, and they will just try to survive in the world, the big bad world. They can't really do much. If I go up to the green one, which is they become self-aware, they accept, they become active, but they still don't have that single focus goal. So they're scattered all over the place. Now,
Right.
these people are conscious. They'll be busy doing lots of things, but they're not talking about anything. They're very silent. They tend to become backbones of certain companies. But you know how the backbone is taken for granted many number of times? That's how they start operating. So they don't, reach any leadership positions if they're sitting in that quadrant. If you look at the one on the right hand side, which is the yellow one, now these people are low on self awareness. They won't even accept their mistakes, fallings. They're not actively trying to resolve issues within themselves. So they're typically ignorant. They become visible for sure because they're communicating and they become mouth shooters. Now you can imagine what happens. You don't know your gaps. You don't know much about yourself, and you are a mouth shooter. You are bragging about yourself. Now I would hate to say what these people are called, but these people are typically shunned from meetings saying, these people are blabbermouths, etc. They have no clue what they're talking about. So this is that category of people. And the green one is really the ones who are conspicuous. They are self-aware, accepting, they accept their faults, they're actively correcting them. They are looking at that single one or two goals, they communicate and they contribute. Now, those are the people who become conspicuous and consciously excelling heroes, heroines, whichever way. I'm sorry for using that word, which is very signifying. But this is my grid that explains what are the qualities one should have to be able to get promoted.
The moment you look at the grid, there is this clarity where we actually see where we fit in. Sometimes we just need something pictographically to explain where we fit in or what our characteristics are, and then the growth forward. That's beautifully put.
Right.
But what aside training helps people grow at various stages in their career?
Oh, that's very interesting. If you were to ask me, I don't think training people in training typically ends up working for people who are looking at some basic level skills and they're at their lower initial stages of careers or whatever. Beyond that, that modus operandi of putting a set of 15, 20, 25 people into training and getting them trained on a certain area typically never works. I mean,
Right.
I don't know, Mridula, if you've sat in a classroom, you will understand what I'm saying, that if you go get trained on, let's say, any subject like presentation skills or public speaking, You walk in, and if it's a 2-day training program, the third day, fourth day, fifth day, you'll be conscious of what you've learned. After that, you've forgotten everything.
No.
It never. So, so it's important that we focus on other areas for ensuring that we change and progress in life. Now, to develop ourselves, there are many ways in which one can. I think the training is the lowermost. The highest one, right at the top, is getting coached, because there you're working with somebody individually, and somebody is kind of helping you identify what your areas are and is only addressing those areas, and not for all 20 people. It's just for you. So that's a single coaching goal that you have. Aside that, I think in today's world, self-learning has become very key, crucial, and especially in this area, in this world of or era of internet. Anytime I get stuck with something, I think the first thing I do is Google it out.
True.
Nothing better than that. So that's definitely it. I think many number of times we use a few other tactics or techniques. One is that if I want to upskill myself in a certain area, I think the first thing I would do is go ahead and try and teach that to someone. I mean, I can possibly fib my way through when I'm talking, but if I'm trying to train someone,
Yes.
I will make sure that I will learn that subject by heart. It will be there in my bloodstream also, believe me. And only then I will go ahead. So it's a beautiful way of upskilling yourself. That is one. Apart from that, I think when people are working in organizations, taking on challenging assignments is very crucial. If you want to upskill yourself in a certain area, just jump into that area, get a feel of that, try to look for projects that can give you that skill. Nothing better than trying things out. I think that's one of the best ways to deal with that. Aside that, it depends on what really is the gap in a certain person. Now there are various methods in which one develops. I call them the alternate development approaches. It's in my philosophy, I call it ADA. But in that, let's say, for example, let's say that there is a leader who is weak in a certain area. Let's say, for example, this person is not very comfortable maintaining discipline in the team. Now, what do? You can't probably at a certain stage, you can't go around running, trying to learn discipline at a certain stage, because you're doing far greater. So then what do? You take your team and you find out what their strong points are. Start delegating these jobs to those people, because you can't develop yourself in all areas. So best is you go ahead, pick up somebody who's very great at discipline in your team, go ahead and delegate that piece. In the process, you also learn from that person. The person also develops, will thank you for developing that person. And your job is done, because that person takes care of delegation, that person takes care of discipline in your team, and the job is done. So aside that, I think there are multiple other things. For example, I do remember when I was with GE, we had looked at developing operational leaders. So at any point in time, if you want to get somebody ready for handling a big location, so you want that operation leader to be comfortable in all functions, be it operations, be it finance, be it marketing, be it sales, be it HR, be it people, be it whatever, because that person is going to head a location. So
Right.
then in that case, we said, okay, you come with a background of operations, no worries. We request that person to go ahead and work for 2 months in every function. And actually tell them to do a specific project in that function. So let's say, for example, the person can be placed in the finance function for 3 months or 2 months, because you're really serious of giving him a very high position in a big location. So you put them into finance, and don't just put them into finance just so that they can watch people and while away their time. No, give them an actual project. You understand the basics of finance, and go ahead and do something that the finance team has been trying to do since the last 6 months. They've not managed. You go with your skill set, go ahead, run the project, come back and show that you've done it. That's a beautiful way of developing. And that's how you get, let's say, operation leaders up and ready to look after the location.
Taking the entire organization with you, right?
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
not just a single journey.
That too, and then people start getting conviction in you, because you actually done superbly amazing stuff for their functions. So they start trusting you. They start believing in you that yes, you can do some great jobs wherever you get it. So these are just some of the ways in which people can upskill themselves.
This is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Renu, because a lot of us, when we say upskill, which is what I've been trying to get through by using, experts come and talk on this, is that it's not just going into some training program, getting a certification, and then trying to say that, I'm done with the certification, hence I'm ready for, taking on more responsibilities and that stuff. It's a lot internal, I think, adjusting the compass as well, right? And learning quite a bit as well.
Completely. In fact, my sense, I think since you've talked about it, the first thing that helps people develop or learn is just getting your mind to say, yes, I can do it. The day you say, yes, you can do it, I mean, it's very difficult for a lot of people to even come back and say, yes, I can do it. In adversities or when they have negative scenarios or a negative market condition. If a person says, yes, I can do it, believe me, the person is going to hang upside down to make sure that it gets done.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
so it's a beautiful way to develop. Just figure it out, put it in your mind that yes, you can do it. You make up your mind and believe me, people do it. I think that's one of the biggest ways to develop yourself.
That is such a positive note. And thank you so much for joining us. There's just so many things that we need to learn. And I think just talking to people it will open a lot of our thinking and change the way we look at things as well. It's not very linear anymore. So thank you so much for taking time off.
Oh, thanks a ton. Thanks a ton, Mridula.